I'm very pleased to say that joining us tonight, live in studio here for the interview, is Bill Weld, Libertarian candidate for vice president this year. Governor Weld, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Nice to
Great
have
to
you
be here. Thank you.
I posited just a moment ago before the commercial break that what you and Gary Johnson are really aiming at this year is that 5% threshold to try to get some federal matching funds, to try to get ballot access and all those other things, basically so the Libertarians might be viable in the future.
I think in the real world, that's probably correct. That would give federal matching funds. It would mean no more ballot access woes. You know, we thought for the longest time we might have a chance to run the table because we're such nice guys and centrist party, et cetera, but not getting in the debates really sort of foreclosed that option. So now it is the 5%. You're right.
And when you, in the real world, when you think about pursuing that 5% option, for people who are in states where it's really close, for people who are in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Florida, Ohio, these states where the presidential race really might be decided among the two candidates who do actually have a shot at it, do you think that people in those states should vote for you?
Well, we are making our case that we're fiscally responsible and socially inclusive and welcoming, and we think we've got on the merits the best ticket of the three parties, if you will. And so, you know, we'd like to get there. Having said that, as I think you're aware, I see a big difference between the R candidate and the D candidate, and I've been at some pains to say that I fear for the country if Mr. Trump should be elected. I think it's a candidacy without any parallel that I can recall. It's content-free and very much given to stirring up envy and resentment and even hatred. And it's, I think it would be a threat to the conduct of our foreign policy and our position in the world at large.
When you say fear for the country, do you mean, is that hyperbole, or do you mean it literally? Do you think it would actually be a threat to us as a country?
Well, I think it would be a threat to our polity, as Tom Brokaw has been saying the last couple of days. You know, we're getting to the point where we're impinging on democratic institutions in this country, and I think you know, it takes a certain not suspension of disbelief, but a willingness to go along with other people to get the ship of state going forward. I'm not sure that happens in a Trump presidency, frankly.
You've described him as unstable. Did you mean that sort of psychologically, or what's the basis of that?
No, I mean that psychologically. I think he showed in the debates that when he encounters a criticism or challenge, he behaves the way you know, a bully would. He just doesn't take it well. He doesn't deal well with criticism and blame. And I don't think he could competently manage the office of the presidency, given the criticism and the challenge that you face every single day as president of the United States. He just would not be in his element, and I think he would wobble off course. And I think the country just can't have that.
Given that, I'm going to circle back to the question that I asked before. Somebody listening to you right now in North Carolina, knowing that North Carolina may decide who the next president of the United States is, hearing you in terms of what you think about Donald Trump and it being that you fear for the country if he is elected, why wouldn't it be, if those are the stakes, and that person is deciding, well, I'm going to vote against Donald Trump, and you concede basically that you're not going to win, you and Gary Johnson are not going to win the presidency, why would that person not weigh threat to the country, fear for the fate of the country, against hope the Libertarian Party gets its 5% this year? Why would a person pick the Libertarian vote in that case if the stakes are that high between voting for Clinton and Trump?
The person could very well decide not to do that. And for someone deciding not to do that, I have a lot to say about Mrs. Clinton that has not been said by others recently, and that I think needs to be said. I mean, I've known her for 40 years. I worked with her. I know her well professionally. I know her well personally. I know her to be a person of high moral character, a reliable person, and an honest person. However, so much Mr. Trump may rant and rave to the contrary. So I'm happy to say that, and people can make their own choices.
I feel like you're butting up against a gossamer ceiling here, a very in that you're not quitting, you're not stepping out of the race. I heard you say today on MSNBC that you'll cast a vote for the Libertarian ticket on which you are
That
part.
would be our ticket.
That would be your ticket. You're in Gary Johnson's ticket. But do you honestly believe that Gary Johnson would be a better president than Hillary Clinton?
I think he'd be capable of being a good chief executive, and yes, a commander-in-chief, Aleppo to the contrary notwithstanding. He was a strong governor, and you know, I believe in the platform of the Libertarian Party, which is different from that of the other two parties, and I believe that it would be good for the country if the Libertarians had a seat at the table to speak truth to power of the other two parties, which now have this monopoly in Washington. Having said that, I'm not taking back anything I said about the massive difference between the two establishment party candidates. One would be chaos for the country, I think, and the other would be a very businesslike and capable and competent approach to our affairs.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.